Imagine you found yourself face to face with the gate of hell, or surrounded by different forms of malicious, mind-bending spirits that could make you lose your mind or vanish into thin air. There's a reason why this forest is called the most haunted place in Japan. So many horrifying stories and details trail this place, and most people who go in don't come out alive. Even the few who make it out in one piece always have a story to tell. Join us in this video as we explore some of the scariest encounters of eyewitnesses in the Aokigahara forest and why this place is so haunted and deadly. Officially known as Aokigahara, this forest in Japan dates back to the late 1860s. It's the aftermath of the Mount Fuji eruption, so the dense forest you see today was once nothing more than an uninhabitable field of lava and volcanic ash. However, beyond the attractive trees and breathtaking views, something dark resides in this forest, something that has made locals stay far away from it for millennia. It would interest you to know that there are no animals in this forest, not even a rat. Also, you'll never get any network signal inside the Aokigahara. Compasses also seem to malfunction once you are inside. All of this makes the forest a real death trap. It's impossible to call for help if you get lost. But all these are just minor troubles compared to the terrifying beings that call this forest home. These beings are behind the horror stories of the Aokigahara forest that have been spreading for ages. The most famous thing about the forest is the suicides. At least 100 suicide bodies are found in this forest every year. Usually, people just stroll into the forest with unstable thoughts and end their lives. Other times, individuals with sound minds go in but never come out. The locals speak of an unknown being, a strange force, which draws people into the forest before stealing their minds, driving them insane to the point where they take their own lives. No one knows what this spirit is called, and it's never been caught on camera either. However, a short stroll through this jungle would have you seeing multiple ropes, tents, personal items, and even dead bodies. There are many ways you could die in this forest: hanging, starving to death after getting lost, or even dying by strange, mysterious forces. Suicide notes are another thing you'll commonly find in the Aokigahara. Since everything in this forest grew out from volcano lava and ash, there isn't much soil. The forest floor is more of tree roots than soil. You'd find a hard time walking comfortably in the deep parts of the forest. This overpopulation of trees made locals give this forest another name, Chukai. Standing at Mount Fuji to view this forest below, you'd see plain green vegetation. It looks quite beautiful, a beautiful death trap. Even from the inside, the forest seems like a good place to camp. Except for one problem though, there's a 99% chance you'd get lost. In a Vice documentary that was done in 2012, a geologist and guide named Azusa Hayano explained how the topography of the forest can be so confusing that folks easily get lost and perish in the middle of nowhere. While giving the tour, Hayano encountered something disturbing: a creepy doll nailed to a tree upside down with its head torn off. It was a curse, a demonic parting gift to human society from an individual who had nothing but contempt for human civilization. Hayano explained that it was the work of a suicide victim. He or she was filled with so much anger and contempt for mankind that they placed a curse on the world they left behind. Hayano is one of the brave few who has been able to withstand the forest's bewitching powers. He remarked that he just wants to do his best to reduce the number of suicide in this forest. But since then, nothing much has changed about this place. People keep dying, and weird things keep happening. One of the weirdest things visitors have reportedly noticed in this forest is the unnatural blood-curdling screams. Some locals say outside by a being called Yurei. There's no telling who or what this spirit is, but most people believe it's the spirit of a dead person that roams the area, calling on visitors. Another thing visitors have testified to is apparitions and ghost sightings. So many people have claimed that they saw white figures drifting through the trees in this forest at night. Such encounters spring up fear and terror in the hearts of visitors, so much so that only the truly courageous ones don't turn back from there. Truthfully, the Aokigahara is no place for the faint of heart. There's a strong spiritual force that has been drawing people to die here by suicide. So many Japanese religions consider this forbidden land a spiritual place. Over the years, Buddhist monks have embarked on solemn missions inside this forest to try and figure out what made it so haunted. These monks were ready to confront whatever evil spirits were drawing people there to die by suicide. One monk, named Kyomyo Fukui, reportedly claimed that the spirits of people who had died by suicide before were the ones drawing new victims into the forest. For some reason, his theory makes total sense. But so far, no monk has successfully stopped the crazy deaths that occur here. In fact, most of the monks simply add to the dead bodies. If you think these stories are all made up, you might want to think again. YouTuber Steve Ronan went into the Aokigahara to see for himself just how haunted this place really is. He and his team had barely gone a few meters into the forest when they began to hear eerie screams. The bold YouTuber, Ronan, yelled out in Japanese, asking if anyone was there. Shockingly, a small girly voice replied, but no one could make out what the voice was saying. Tracing the voice, the four guys went deeper into the forest and decided to set up their ghost detection gadgets. Surprisingly, they didn't just pick up a signal but even used their device to communicate with a ghost who happened to be a wealthy religious girl while she was alive. After edging them on for a while, the ghost said, in a spooky voice, "Leave this place." Baffled, the young men decided to use more devices. After carefully analyzing, they realized there wasn't just one ghost but several. They'd all been trying to reply to their questions, only that the girl's voice came through. The voices mentioned that there were good spirits and bad entities right there with them, but most terrifying of all, they said, "This is hell." That statement alone confirms one of the many myths about this forest, that it is a portal or a gate to hell. It's like the same weird spiritual theory you hear about the infamous Bermuda Triangle. If what these guys heard is actually true, does it mean that the spirits talking to them are damned souls from hell? And what risks do these spirits pose to these young men? In any case, these guys left the location, going deeper into the forest. As they went deeper, it became so dark that their fully charged flashlights seemed almost useless. They followed a light string tied to different trees along the way. This was a common practice by some visitors to this forest as a way to prevent getting lost. These guys knew whoever tied this rope did so to trace his way back out of the forest. If they let this string go out of sight, they'd be lost in this haunted wilderness forever. At the end of the string, they found a noose, a shirt, and an empty drink bottle. Someone must have had their last supper here before committing suicide. The boys found a tombstone and did another ghost investigation. Their instruments started going crazy, indicating that the ghost or ghosts was right on top of them. Trying to be brave, the guys asked the ghost to let go of the equipment. And shockingly, the equipment stopped buzzing, meaning the ghosts had let go. In that instant, the battery of the camera went dead. Not willing to give up, these guys brought an SLS, a special visual device that could capture a ghost. Still, the battery mysteriously went dead almost immediately after the device was brought out. Something was draining energy from these guys' equipment. With an emergency power source, they recharged the SLS and caught a figure run across. After asking a couple of questions, it seemed like it was a good spirit following these guys through the forest. These guys had gone deep into the Aokigahara late at night, and so far had witnessed intense ghost activity without suffering any damage spiritually or physically. Either they're very lucky or something supernatural is protecting them. Unwilling to push their luck any further, the young men turned back and headed out of the forest. It is better to live and tell the tale than to die finding the real haunted spirits. That's all for this video. Join us next time for another interesting episode. Until then, bye for now.